YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We've got the UMX Radian just re-released with smart receiver. Looks pretty amazing. We're excited for this. Yes, stay tuned. Watch the unbox build and radio setup. There's hardly a build involved. And yes, we do fly it inside for extra excitement. We are flying it today on a 200 milliamp hour 1S. This thing recommends a 150 milliamp hour, but we also have a 70 milliamp hour. If you want to fly it inside, we show you a trick to make it fly a little better. We've got some very light wind here, so just full disclosure, do not fly this in heavy wind. You'll be disappointed. It does have safe. It does have AS3X. So currently, without having throttled it, the AS3X was inactive. Now it is. Okay, you can see it working. I flip the direction of safe. It does find safe, finds the quickest path to level. So just to show you how that works, there you go, that's safe, okay? We have not trimmed it because we've been inside. Okay, coming out of safe, now we are in AS3X. I did mix in a control so I can use the left and the right sticks. Very, very responsive. It is not dead calm. So I'm going in a circle on purpose. But I need to probably take a second and trim the ailerons to the right just a little bit. That is so sweet. Such an easy flying plane, guys. Okay, so this has a brushed motor. It's just like you remember it. Obviously, you can do all the stuff you want to do. It's got a folding prop, very light plane, super docile, really easy to fly. Given that it is a 3-channel, it's almost unbelievable. Very light, EPP. It's not EPO. That means it's still very light, but it also means that it's not the most resistant type of phone to damage. So be aware of it. See that wing bends? Very forgiving. We crashed several times inside into chandeliers and whatnot. You could probably thermal this thing, but be careful. If you get into a thermal, you'll probably have a flyaway. Okay, so out of safe, as typical, I'm gonna go into safe real quick to show you what that looks like. Safe is on now. Okay, so I'm able to roll quite a bit, but when I let go, it auto rights the airplane. And yes, the little bit of curved wing tips makes for really good response in terms of auto leveling, but the rudder is super effective. Okay, so give it some throttle, get up to altitude. We have not a 1-out timer on this. We have a regular 7-minute timer. But on this plane, I'm gonna get in position here. We have telemetry. So if you'll look right there, that is so sweet. So we have smart telemetry on this, which means we have pack voltage as well as receiver voltage, which is really nice. The receiver voltage may be a little bit less necessary in my opinion. Now this plane is super, super easy to catch too. So, I mean, it just pretty much goes around on its own. And I love the way it looks. It's super simple to fly, real relaxing. And if you really want excitement, you want to add excitement to your experience with the UMX Radian, what you want to do, take a couple sticky notes, make some flaps. I mean, look how aerobatic the thing is. It shouldn't be, but it is. Make some flaps and fly it around your living room. You can fly in surprisingly tight spots with this. Just kind of got about 75% up elevator. I'm just gonna try to catch it here. I'll go around for a loop here. And then give it a little throttle. Make sure you chop the throttle before you catch it so you don't get caught. And there you have it. Super easy to catch. Just be careful because since it's that lighter foam, it is a little bit more easy to damage. If you do damage it, you can glue it together, but don't use hot glue. Use tape and CA and that's it. And use the thin CA if you have it. It'll be the best for it. Really like this plane. Super simple. I've always been a big fan of the Ultra Micro. The UMX stands for Ultra Micro Extreme. And we've been really happy with most of them. And this thing has a 130 by 70 folding prop. You can buy replacement parts for this. And I'm not sure if they still offer them, but they have a clear blade, or they had a clear blade at one point. And I used to have an AS, what is that one that we used to have? Oh, it was so cool. Oh, and I did one other mod. before coming out here, I just put a piece of tape onto another piece of tape so it's not sticky on the backside. And I measured to just make sure I could get this biggest pack in there. This 200 milliamp hours just barely gets in, see? Then you don't have to worry about Velcro on there. Now on the 150s, I've got Velcro, but I can stick that about in the middle and that gets your CG about right. This thing just basically flies itself. I mean, out of AS3X, or excuse me, out of safe, just in AS3X only, and just the thing just does it. I mean, it practically flies itself all the time. Like I said, we have a little bit of wind, and look how well it performs. A 50% throttle. Here's 100% throttle. It just doesn't care. It does whatever you want for a little 3-channel. It's amazing. Now, is it the best glider I've ever flown? No, guys. I've flown awesome big gliders, and I love this experience. It's so much fun. But is it better than the cheap Chinese ones? Oh, yeah. It flies so much better. And what is the one that everybody always wants to buy? The A800? Oh, my goodness. I hated that glider. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's terrible. It never folded the prop because it always kept throttle on. Now, it had a brushed motor, too, which I didn't care for. I was a little bit disappointed to see that this wasn't a brushless motor. It's a brushed motor, which means that will eventually wear out. But this is not like the Sport Cub S UMX where you're in the throttle all the time. You know, we're out of the throttle most of the time now. And, you know, like I said, it's not dead calm. Show them the windsock real quick if you want to pan down there. By the way, Grumpy John, we did get the windsock. We just haven't put it on. We're trying to get as much life out of that as we can. So no, it didn't get lost in the mail. Did you guys see that dragonfly that just came by?
Oh. Is that what that was?
Yeah, it was a dragonfly. It was huge. So now if you're not into catching this plane, which to be honest, it'll probably have a longer shelf life if you don't catch it. I'll show you how to land it. Real easy. If there's some wind, fly with the wind if you need to bring it down, and then fly into the wind when you're ready to land, okay? It's like a non-issue. You don't even really have to do much of anything. But the big thing is if you're flying and you're a new pilot and you're flying in safe and you're having trouble getting this plane to come down, this is something that people run into when they're new pilots. All you have to do is shut off safe. First of all, the confidence to fly out of safe in this thing is going to be second to none. It is very, very easy to fly. It's so easy, you're going to fly it, right? She hates it when I do that. Yeah, you should fly this. It's so easy. Okay, so throttle cuts on. Camera crew is going to fly for a minute.
Well, can we pause and switch?
Yeah, we can pause and switch. The camera crew is super nervous. Okay, camera crew, show me your thrust angles.
Okay. So throttle and then down.
She's very concerned.
This
thing is so easy to fly, guys.
Okay.
She's nervous.
Can they throttle cut off?
Yeah, throttle cuts off. She insisted that I launch it for her. Okay.
Am I throttling right now?
Ready?
And then you're going to throw it?
Yeah, I mean, just go ahead. It's fine. Just give it full throttle. Okay?
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah, go.
Okay, here we go. Just pull back on the stick. Okay, don't worry. Just pull back on the stick. You got to shut off the throttle. Did you see what happened?
No, what did I do?
That's what happens, guys. All right, we're going to try this again. Hold on, I'll get it. I know you're afraid to do it.
No.
So here's how we're going to do this. Camera crew's going to hold the camera for a minute. The camera crew made several classic gaffes as a pilot, and I made the classic gaffe of telling her how easy it was going to be. This plane does not do good in wind. You need to be aware. And the wind did kick up right when we did that. Okay, so you can see the battery popped out because she managed to like run it into the ground with the throttle. That is something you want to avoid, guys. Okay, so let's talk about this for a minute. I'm going to demonstrate to her again. Throttle cuts off. Okay, just full throttle. I'm just going to throw it. Okay, then I just second nature. It was in AS3X, camera crew.
Oh, see, it's your fault.
It is my fault. I know. Okay, so now safe. Now it's in safe.
Okay.
So it will automatically level the plane, and then all you have to do is just kind of like tell it what direction you want it to go. You don't have to fly it even. That's the beauty of it. It's so easy.
Like.
Well, I know, it's so second nature to me. It's kind of hard for me to tell. I just don't want to catch it. I'm too lazy. Okay, so let's see if I can get it to come right to us. And then you're going to try again, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, because you should be able to handle this. I just forgot to put it in safe. I'm sorry, camera crew. Okay, so full disclosure, if you land on concrete like that, you'll mar the finish on the bottom. Okay, throttle cuts on. It's still in safe.
Okay.
Okay, let's try it again.
Can you launch towards not the house?
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I didn't really launch it toward the house. Mother Nature pushed it to the house.
Whoa.
Okay, I'm going to launch it this way. You see how I've got it sideways?
Okay.
It's like a discus launch. So you're gonna go full throttle, and then I'm basically just gonna let go.
Okay.
You ready? All right, go ahead, full throttle, don't mess around. There you go. Okay, just get it up there a little bit, get a few mistakes high. You guys have probably already figured out why I'm not the camera crew.
Yes. They already knew that.
Okay, now cut off the throttle and just turn it. There you go. Chop the throttle all the way. Hey, full throttle, full throttle, full throttle.
That is full throttle.
Okay, point it toward the house. Okay, chop the throttle. Now point the nose down. There you go.
What am I going to do though now?
Just turn it and point it into the wind. That's all you're doing. You're just pointing it into the wind.
Okay.
Now turn it, turn it, turn it.
Turn it which way?
Full throttle. Okay, now point it into the wind. Good job. Now let it out of the throttle.
Okay.
Point it into the wind. Turn it toward the house. Thank you. Okay, full throttle. All right, we're gonna trade piloting skills here. Are you ready?
My brain just doesn't think fast enough.
Well, it thinks fast enough about everything else.
Well, that's the problem.
Hey, trade
Yeah.
me back. I'm terrible at filming. Okay, so she's way out there.
Yeah.
So now I'm gonna show you, if you're in any doubt, okay, shut off safe and bring it down. Part of the problem is that camera crew doesn't automatically know what direction to move the sticks.
Mm-mm.
And so as a result, she can't do stuff like that safely.
Mm-mm.
And I just don't even think about it. And I do it. It's just you get to a certain point in your flying career and you literally don't have to think about it anymore. What direction you want the plane to go, you just think, I want it to turn to the right. So it does.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird because when you're a new pilot, you are thinking hard about everything.
Yep.
And my camera crew / wife always overthinks every aspect of it. And so it's hard for her. And I can tell because that's the way our son would have been. And that's the way I was. But as you take time, 3-channel planes, in my opinion, are more scary to fly than 4-channel planes. And I know some of you are screaming, that's not the way we learned back in the 1960s. Well, yeah, because we didn't have a lot of 4-channel planes, especially not trainers. The difference is with safe is better at getting that plane level and maintaining control. That's why it's better. So if you're learning to fly, I can definitely say that safe is effective on this plane, but you do have to have a general basic idea of what you're doing. And the reason that this plane might be slightly worse off than the big one is because flying a small one is going to be less forgiving in that it'll fly away easier and it's not as heavy, and so it's less strong if you crash. But I'm loving the way it's flying. Also, the other thing too is when you're flying a super small plane like this, it's very light. You do have to have near perfect. Oh, look at this. Is that a 747?
I don't know.
It sure looks like it.
I'm filming.
That looks like a 747. I can't tell. No, I only see 2 nacelles. Dang it. Now I look like a moron. Huh. No, it's just like it's just probably an Airbus A320. So now I'm just bringing it back, obviously out of throttle. This thing will fly for a really long time on a 200 milliamp 1S pack. Long enough for all the regret to set in. I love that the smart technology tells you your pack voltage That's really the only thing you need to know. But if it was like, boop, 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 beep, beep, boop, 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 that'd be really cool. Like on the Air 637T, which has a Vario. Ooh, did you see the evil eye?
Mm-mm.
When I turned, you could see the evil eye.
Oh.
So the other thing too is if you're new piloting, new as in new to flying anything, I'm gonna give you the tip that's gonna help save your Radian. Fly on an absolute dead calm day and you will have a lot easier time than the camera crew here had. What you can't see is the 2 to 3 mile an hour wind. Let's fly it by the trees and then you'll be able to see. Okay, you guys see up here in the eagle killing zone over here? Do you see those treetops moving? There is a lot of turbulent air coming up. And believe it or not, that will be enough to kick this plane around. And experience makes a big difference. Oh yeah, see, like there was just a gust of wind right there.
Mm-hmm.
I love flying it. It's super relaxing, really easy for me. And I think that if you have basic flight controls down, you're gonna have a really easy time with this plane. It flies like it has ailerons though, I gotta say. I know you probably don't think that because the response is so much slower than what you're used to.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lag in the controls when you have a 3-channel plane because you have to actually induce the roll as opposed to just forcing the roll. Ooh, I thought I maybe could catch it. So without further ado, guys, this plane is super fun. Love the way it flies. It's everything I expected it to be. It's actually a little bit better because inside it's actually flyable in the living room. That's something I didn't expect. And I always really do like that. I like the markers on the bottom, just like they had those invasion stripes, if you will. These are invasion stripes, I believe. And then the top decals are good, just good differentiation between the top and the bottom. And everything went really smooth. If you do get this plane and you want a little bit more authority for inside flying, take and move this control horn into the center, and then take and move that control horn into the center. It's one hole out on both, and that's going to give you a little bit more authority on the slow flying. Slope soaring, I don't know if it's strong enough. You'd have to have a pretty light, consistent wind on a hillside. I think you could slope soar it then. This thing is really light. I'd like to try that. If we could get some consistent wind, maybe on a ditch or something, we get enough lift to actually fly it. If the wind was coming the right direction, we could try it on the driveway there, but I don't think we have enough right now. So at the end of the day though, really good job on this E-flite. The camera crew repents. She's gonna come back even better on the next flight, she promises. And look at that, that telemetry is so nice. Still waiting on the percentage from Spectrum there, if you're listening. The percentages would be much appreciated because a percentage could be displayed on the front screen next to like the percentage of throttle. It would be nice to have that on the home screen. Otherwise, I'm really liking it. The safe is okay. It's not as locked in as you get on a 4-channel plane. I'm just gonna let you guys know that right now. Is it bad? No, not at all. But it is definitely not as locked in, and you need to be aware of that because some of you that are thinking, yeah, this will be a good learning plane. Yeah, maybe not. I would say this plane will be actually a little bit more like next step. Like start with the Sport Cub S UMX. You're gonna have more fun with it. I think it's gonna be a little bit easier for you to relate the concept of flying. I know that's so contrary to some of you old timers that learn to fly without any of the stabilization or AS3X. But in my experience, I learned to fly on the Sport Cub, and I thought 3-channel planes were hard when I was just first getting into it because I liked being able to control the roll axis. And you still do control the roll axis, but you do it in a different way on a 3-channel. So I guess somewhat it depends on what you're used to. Also, if you're used to flying a simulator, simulators are very responsive, almost unrealistically responsive in many cases. And so if you're like, hey, if I move the stick, why doesn't it do the thing I expect it to do? That's part of the reason why I think camera crew is having trouble, also the wind. But I do really like this myself. Obviously, you guys know, about where I am in terms of skill level. If you've been following the channel for a while, I fly a lot of different planes and I don't really have a lot of trouble with the basic controls. But in terms of, like, is this a beginner plane? It's a skill level 2 on the box, and that's probably about right. But skill level 1 is skill level 1, and skill level 2 is 2. And then 3 is like the F-16, 80 millimeter, okay? So to give you an idea, 2 is a lot bigger than 1 when you're talking about a scale of 4. I don't know why it's not 10 or something like that.
Yeah.
Because if it was a scale of 10, with like the F-16 80 being like an 8 or a 7 in my world, okay, then I would say that, and it's not hard to fly, it's just harder to land, then this plane would be something like maybe a 3 or 4, okay? Because the 3-channel, the safe takes a little longer to respond, and add into that some wind, maybe the 3 becomes a 4 or a 5, when it could ordinarily be a 2 or a 3 if it was dead calm. So we will probably try a dead calm flight with this too, and see, it might dead calm after the sun goes down, but we do have storms in the forecast. So sometimes when we have stormy forecast in the midsummer in central Iowa, we will actually have wind all night long. It's pretty unusual. Once the sun sets, the atmosphere relaxes around here, typically. But I can tell, like, I'm feeling the wind on my legs and on my face. And if you can feel it, it's not gonna stop at sunset. Guys, in closing, if you wanna help support the channel, buy from the links below. We feel like it's the most equitable way. You help support us, we help support the hobby, we help support you when you're new in the hobby. Obviously, that's an easy way to do it because you're getting what you want. You don't pay any extra. You still get whatever the RC points are that you have at whatever company you're working with. And you can use coupons and coupon codes, things like that. That all still works. But the big thing is you'll be supporting our channel and you'll be helping to finance what we're doing here, which is really much appreciated. If you don't want to do that, if you don't want to buy through the links, or maybe you're overseas in a different country and you'd still like to support us, but you're not sure how, we have a Patreon site as well. So you can look there. We have links in the video description below, and then we have PayPal if you don't like monthly stuff. So there's 3 different ways you can support us. But the biggest one is come back, watch the videos, give us a like, even if it's way too long for you to watch the whole thing. That does help us offset the more detailed approach we take with the long format. And believe me, it does actually hurt us on YouTube, but we know that it's really what the hobby needs right now is somebody that's going to take the time to walk you through setting up these awesome radios so you can use these awesome planes. And by the way, Horizon has been great. We liked them before we were working with them, and we like them now that we are working with them. We just like them even more because we have so much more experience with them. And the other competitive brands that we bring, we really like them too, except for maybe one line we've had a lot of problems with. So I'll leave it at that. But that being said, if we have a line that doesn't work out well, it's, our videos are long enough that it's kind of hard for us to hide it. So you will know because we'll tell you. And that's the other big reason why you guys come here to Brian Phillips RC, is that we give you a very balanced approach with lots of different experience. Now, we're not flying turbines here. We're not flying gas-powered planes yet. Someday we will. And we do have limited experience. Everybody has a small window of experience within whatever, I don't know if you want to call it a discipline. But in our case, we are well-versed in the beginner planes and intermediate planes. And we love doing bind and flies. We do some plug and flies. And whatever it is that seems to meet your fancy, if you're watching it here, YouTube thought you would like it. So hopefully you'll come back and check out more of the, I think we're up to like 1,700 videos or something like that. So if you're bored, or maybe you've got like a short prison sentence, you could spend like half of the prison sentence. You could spend, you could watch half of our videos during your prison sentence. So anyway, and plus then you can watch the whole thing.
Yeah.
And live vicariously through our NX8. By the way, NX8 has been great. People ask occasionally, hey, what do I need? I'm new to the hobby. I've got the DXS that came with, the Aero Scout 1.1 meter, which is highly recommended for a beginner plane, in my opinion, or the Mini Apprentice, which is now called the Apprentice 1.2. Very good planes. I got the DXS. What do I buy next? Well, if you're buying the Carbon Cub S the 1.3 meter, just keep the DXS and use it on that too. And then you can buy the bind and fly version, it's much cheaper. But if you're going into the Habu, it's either a ready to fly or it is a plug and fly, which I still don't understand why Horizon made that choice. Probably because the receiver's expensive. I don't really understand it. That should have been a bind and fly and a ready to fly, if you ask me. But anyway, that gives you some of our insight, and we can help you get to the NX8, which I would say is your next transmitter. And I know some of you are screaming, no, what about the DXEs? Don't buy a DXE. Support will be lost sooner than it will on an NX, and you're going to be chasing good money after bad. If it's a $200 transmitter instead of a $350 transmitter, you're going to waste $200 getting to the $350 transmitter that you're going to buy anyway. You know, trust me, we went through these decisions ourselves, and we've come through it full circle. And I would suggest the NX8 right now, because the NX10 is a big price bump, and you may not need the features unless you're getting into really sophisticated stuff, like way more sophisticated than we usually do. And the iX12 and iX20, I'm still jealous of you owners. I have a DX18 I have never used beyond the 10th channel, which is crazy. And I had it for years. Got like 90 planes in there or something, like 80 some odd planes. So the NX8 has done everything we want. The NX6 did almost everything we want because it's technically a 7-channel. But for like 40 or 50 bucks more, you get the lanyard like this, and you get a knob and a couple extra switches. So I go over this now because a lot of you ask, and you're like, but you don't need all those channels on this plane. True. But here's the thing. You're not going to buy one of these for every plane. That would be nuts. I have 51 planes in here now. So you need to buy it for the most advanced plane you can use. And currently we have planes that have thrust reverse, safe, AS3X, flaperons, all that stuff, retracts on the same plane. We're doing every channel with 8 channels, and we're using every one of them. So yes, 8 does it. 10 would be nice, but 8 does it. And that's why I keep recommending the DX8, or excuse me, the NX8, not the DX8. The DX8 will work right now, but I wouldn't get the DX8. That's totally a middle step right now. I would go straight to the NX8, and I would not get the DX8E, because the economy version limits some of your stuff, and it's going to be the first one to get dropped off when they're doing firmware upgrades with forward programming. So now we need these things for forward programming. All right, that's enough, guys. We will show the Unbox build and setup. It's short, and then we'll fly it inside next. Stay tuned. YouTube, it's a UMX Radian. We're going to open it right now. It's going to be amazing. I'm so excited for this. We haven't had a new UMX forever. And so I'm super, super excited, because if this is hopefully the first of many. If you're listening, Horizon, I want more. I liked UMX planes a lot. Whoa. Ooh, fancy. This is one of the few ultra micros that doesn't come fully assembled. This is evidently a skill level 2, efficient power system. I don't even know what that means. We're gonna find out right now though. Here it goes. Oh yes, look how small that thing is. That is glorious. Okay, here we go. Oh, wait, I don't want to cut that. I think I want to leave that intact, because you can pack it back up in here, which is really nice. A lot of people choose to do that. This isn't a bind and fly configuration. I'm honestly not sure if this comes in a ready to fly. I should probably do research before I do these videos. All right, there we go. But I'm super excited to see this thing. All right, so we got that out. Oh, it's so cute. Look at this. Oh, it's awesome. This has safe and AS3X. And then I think, how does the battery go? Oh, the battery goes right here. So the lead is down here, and then that's where your wing screws pass through, and it's got a nice little bump guard on the bottom. Folding prop, which is super cool. Looks like the folding prop is gonna be a good fit. That canopy is non-removable, but it looks just like the big one, which is really cool. And I believe this is a 3-channel plane. So it's just super, super simple. And to be honest with you, sometimes it's nice to have a super simple plane, and then some people will hate that. So I'm just gonna say I'm somewhere in the middle. I like a simple plane when I wanna relax. And these things are much smaller, and they're so much easier to get around a small backyard. And then obviously, if they're below the 250 grams, then you know, you don't have to worry about the know before you fly stuff for the drone registry and all that junk. So this wing, I'm thinking I can get this out without actually doing any more. See, I didn't actually have to take that out. Very simple wing. Instead of a lot of dihedral, it's just got this big swoop on the end. So that should help keep it nice and level. Feel how light that is. It's crazy.
Oh
it's just feather light.
Yeah.
It's like nothing. Okay, so then we have one bag. And the bag is taped in here, and that comes with a piece of Velcro and 3 screws. Super, super easy assembly. And then if you guys are kind of keeping track, there is an instruction manual, and it's in the bottom of this thing, if I remember right. You used to always put them in the bottom. I have had a lot of UMX planes, always been really happy with them, except for the 28 millimeter EDFs had lots of problems with those. And also I was kind of a newer pilot at the time. So when you're a newer pilot, you realize later just how bad you were. But anyway, I was not ever happy with any 28 millimeter EDF from Horizon. And now the new 30 millimeter EDFs are pretty sweet. Okay, so we got a manual. Looks like it's got some setup stuff in there. Probably that registry thing. If you want to pull that out of there, I'm going to lay this aside, and then we can get the screws in the wing.
Okay.
This thing feels so heavy. Just that foam is, this box and packaging is probably like 10 times the volume of the actual plane. It's crazy. Look how small this thing is, guys. This is ultra micro, and they mean it.
I figured it was going to be, I don't know, that's like even smaller than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I know. It's awesome. I love that it's small. This is just the type of thing that you can throw in the car, and it's actually small enough to throw in the car. So I got 2 screws here. I'm assuming I'm going to need a Phillips screwdriver, so I'm going to go grab that real quick and put this knife up. I don't want to drop the knife on it because it might fall in half. That is one thing to note about this plane, is that it is extremely light, and you do need to be careful with them. Then we're going to talk about the batteries after we get it all put together. And when I say all put together, this is just like the simplest thing ever. You slide it through, it's a mid-wing. Okay, so you just slide it in like this, get it centered. And then what you want to do is look through the middle of the fuse there. There's 2 holes. And I usually just kind of walk it across until those lines. See? There you go. There's one of them. So I can hit that back one first. Phillips screwdriver not provided, surprisingly. Seems like we always get screwdrivers with planes, but if there were a place that the manufacturers could save a buck, that would probably make sense, I suppose.
Don't most people have
40 of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Okay, another one here. Just hold the tip of the screwdriver. Then I'm going to pivot until the hole lines up. Okay, I got the hole lined up. Super easy install. Okay. Just going until I see, I'm looking for a pinch on the bottom of the fuse, because that's going to tell me the wing is tight. Okay, so this thing is just extremely light. I mean, that's amazingly light. I love that. Light planes fly well. Okay, so what does it say for battery size there, Cam Crew?
This says 150 milliamp hour, 1S.
Yep.
Does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds right. So
Right?
we will grab those and be right back. All right, so this is a 1S 45C. So 1 cell in series. I know it sounds stupid because it's just 1 cell. And it's got a micro pH 1S connector. All right, so we'll have links to this type of battery. This is a bind and fly basic, which means it doesn't come with the battery or the transmitter. And I want to show you 2 different chargers that you can pick for this if you don't already have another solution. Because they used to come with a small charger and you can slide it in there, but I didn't see a charger in there. And so I guess it doesn't exist unless I missed it somewhere, which would be a little embarrassing. So I have my own USB plug and USB cable here. Nothing super fancy about that, on a regular 110 outlet. And then this is first, super simple choice. We'll link to both of these, just so they're easy to use. And then all you have to do is take your battery, get the polarity right, meaning that it's lined up right and the pins are gonna not damage themselves. And then that thing, that's charging. Now that's already at 4.2. This is a 70 milliamp hour. So it's about half the size, as you can see. So we'll plug that one in. That's going to charge. And then I've got a little bit slower discharge rate here. This one's 25C compared to 45C. In my experience, these batteries, the C rating is sort of a joke. Just get whatever's in stock, whatever meets your budget. It's not going to make a big difference on your performance. And I would argue if there's anything in this hobby that tends to be a bit of a disposable item, these little 1S batteries are basically that. Now, be careful though, they are still lithium polymer batteries. I've been burned with one battery in my entire time doing this RC hobby. And you want to know what size battery it was?
One of those.
1S, 500 milliamp hour. I had a tip come off and the wires welded together and it burned the tip of my finger. Luckily, they welded so slow that they oxidized and they made a small break in continuity. So I didn't even lose the battery. Okay, so looking at this, we have all these going. This is a 200 milliamp hour, so it's about 50 larger. Same C rating as the 150. And we'll just show you kind of which ones fit. So we have 3 different size classes here. Okay. And then if you don't like this style of battery charger, I actually far prefer and use this one more often. Now here's why. Because you have all these other style plugs. And so when you get your other brand of batteries for, you know, like your XK and things like that, you can use that too. And they'll plug into the Molex connectors, which by the way, the Molex are a far superior connector in my opinion, but this is what we have. So that does come with the cord, which is nice. And then you don't have to have another USB adapter because I never hook up a USB charger ever to my laptop, ever. Laptop or anything that has a USB plug on it, except my chargers. I do use the USB outputs on the smart chargers, and I actually pulled the plug out of this right here for this one. I pulled it out of the Spectrum power supply here. So, because there's USB plugs on there, and they're very reliable, high output. Okay, so on this, you can see it's got LiPo, 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 and you can switch it to lithium, I forget what that, Li-Hi, whatever. This has a plug just like the other one. It says UM, you plug it in, you click, then you scroll in the speed. So that'd be 0.2 because that's a 200 milliamp hour. You press and hold it and it starts. So you can see the difference in those two, very simple differences. These batteries are pretty much charged. So we should be okay. But just to give you an idea, there are options out there. And the thing that's nice about these is you can charge more than one at a time. We used to have these little USB adapters. In fact, I'll pause and find one real quick. Okay, so this is the little charger that I was talking about. They used to come with, the Ultra Micros used to be a bind and fly, not a bind and fly basic. Bind and fly basic is just the plane and the receiver and all the servos, motors, props, things like that. But then this is a bind and fly basic. So if it's a bind and fly basic, like this on the end, you see how it says bind and fly basic. It's hard to tell when you're looking online what the difference is unless you notice that, okay? All the planes are coming as bind and fly basics unless otherwise specified. So make sure you're noticing that because this used to come with every little Ultra Micro plane. So just want to point that out. And then look guys, in the midst of doing this, which is, you know, we just have millions of chargers. It's just one basket like that. This charger has completed charging the 150. So I'll go ahead and pull that off of there. There's no sense in using a bigger one first because this is the size that they call out. So we might as well use that for radio setup. The radio setup is super easy on this. So first thing we're gonna do is turn on the transmitter. And we try to kind of go into the weeds a little bit to help some of you guys if you're new pilots. The thing that's really cool about this is that when you're setting up a new plane, you can actually get on the Wi-Fi with your NX transmitter or your IX transmitters, and you can download bind and fly profiles. I don't show that on this channel for 2 reasons. 1, it's so easy, just do it yourself if you want to do it. And 2, I'm trying to teach you to use one of the most expensive tools you're going to buy in this hobby. Not the most expensive tool, but I figure it's better for you to learn how to use this thing. So that being said, this is such a simple plane, but I'm gonna go ahead and show you right now. So we have our battery ready, it's charged. We have the plane ready, it's ready to go. Oh, we have to put that piece of Velcro on there. My apologies, folks, we almost forgot that. That's such it's a simple step. When you put your Velcro on, I wanna encourage you to do one thing. When and if you find that the batteries come off of the hook and loop, what you can do is you can take a clear piece of tape and you can tape across the opening on the bottom. And then that allows you to slide the battery in and have it retained. Because if you're flying and the battery pops off of the hook and loop, which anybody who's flown these ultra micros knows exactly what I'm talking about, you can usually get it back to the ground, but the problem is if you get it stuck in a tree because the battery comes loose, it's really frustrating. So I haven't had that happen in a long time, but I've had it happen. And I'm just noticing that if you don't have a tool with you, I've also noticed that these little tags that pop off the end, they sometimes double as a way to get in there and actually pull this wire out. It doesn't always work, but sometimes it does because that wire will get tucked in there sometimes. And so if you're out in the field and you really legitimately don't have a tool, you can try that, or a key from your pocket, your car keys or whatever. Okay, so this comes with, it looks like Velcro to apply to the battery. That's the soft stuff. Or wait, that's the kind that goes in the plane, looks like. Yeah, because I'm using the factory provided. Okay, so that works pretty good. So this is the stuff that goes on the plane, and then that's the stuff that goes on the battery. So they provide both halves of it. But if you're buying the provided battery like that, it will actually come with it as well. And then they also come with a little heat shrink too, and I almost never use that, but you can put the heat shrink around and then apply the material to the plane in that manner. Okay, so I'm going right to the edge here. Okay, and these planes are just so simple. You don't even need to really even check the CG. You can, but it's sort of not necessary. I am getting a screwdriver just because I want to pull it out of there.
Oh.
So I just got the same Phillips screwdriver we used. I just forgot to grab it. This has the little micro pH connector on there. Micro pH JST1S, I think is what that's called. And I always drool every time I see that stupid manual, that safety manual that has all the connectors on it. All right, so here is the connector. All right, great. So we've got that accessible. And I want to point out two things. When you're looking at the bottom of the plug, there's a pin, a single little bump rather, not a pin. Then you can see the release points on both sides. When you go to plug this in, the little bump goes to the flat that's not disconnected here. You see how there's like an opening? That's where those two go. Okay, so it goes like this. And there's also a red dot on there, incidentally. That's kind of nice. I never noticed that before. All right, so real simple, let's do the setup. This is a delicate plane, so be careful with it. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a new model. We're gonna create a new acro. So click, scroll down to System Setup in the function list. This is gonna disconnect to RF, then go to Model Select. Now this is a part where we can't show you for a second. Add new model. Okay, you can show again. And then it comes up with this screen and you can scroll through whatever you wanna make. Okay, sounds like our charger's done with something. So that's an acro. Create that. Excuse me. It takes a second, so don't be surprised. And then you can go down to model name, and this is where it shows 51 : space, so that's the 51st model, and you can change the numbers on these now. So this is the UMX Radian, which stands for Ultra Micro Extreme, even though extreme is spelled with an E. So we can type Radian. So I'm gonna put Radian, and then I'll put UMX at the end. So you just click, scroll over, highlight what you want, and then scroll back, and so on and so forth. So we'll come back when that's done typing. All right, so we have the Radian UMX. Now I can hit back, listen for the weird beeps, and then we'll walk back out. Well, actually, I'll show you what the aircraft type would look like because we don't actually have to change anything. It's a normal wing and a normal tail. And then I'll change this image to a sailplane of sorts. There's one with the prop. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so now when it comes up, there's a timer on the screen. Let's change that. Let's do a throttle cut too. Throttle cut, we're gonna turn that to switch H. That's where I use switch H. And when I move the stick, it's changing it to switch H. I'm gonna acknowledge that entry. Now I can look down here and you can see it's working and it's locked out. Now that it's unlocked, it works. All right, so we're good there, back. And then we'll go down to timer. They suggest a 7-minute timer. And I don't know if it's a 1 out or not. Huh.
It says 7 minutes.
It just says 7 minutes. I don't think they want a 1 out timer. And the reason for that is because when you're not running the prop, there's just virtually no draw on this. And since this is a sailplane, it's gonna be up there, you know, you use the throttle to get up, you chop the throttle and then use the fly. So you have about 7 minutes of motor time on 150 milliamp hours. So that's pretty simple. All right, so then the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna be ready to bind. So I'll walk out and I find it the easiest to just turn off the transmitter. Okay, so now that it's turned off, you've got everything set, throttle cut's on, and we need to do some safe assignment, but we'll show you how to do that here in a minute. It's super duper easy, excuse me. All right, so the manual suggests that this should be centered to get the CG right, okay? So we're gonna plug this in first, and there is a red and blue flashing light means bind mode. Red, solid, and blue is safe, and then solid red is AS3X. All right, so it's plugged in. There's evidently an LED somewhere. After 5 seconds, it goes to bind mode. So I wanna put this down. Okay, so this thing the whole thing will glow, okay? I'm gonna set this down just like this. And then I'm going to press and hold this button. That's the bind button. And then I'm gonna press this until it wakes up. Binding, and it's gonna fail. Okay, I'm gonna show you how to deal with that now. If it fails, I usually at this point click, scroll down to bind, and then I go bind like this, and it seems to get it. So I can hear it's already working. Elevator. It's doing auto configuration now. That's for the telemetry. All right, so we have elevator and no rudder over here. The rudder is over here because it's a 3-channel. And the first thing I'm gonna do is mix in a little extra control. So let's show the people here. Click, scroll down to mixing, rudder to aileron. Well, actually, in this case, I want aileron to rudder. I'm gonna turn it on. And why does it not? I wonder if it's because the profile is such that it's, oh, there we go. That's weird. Inhibit, on. Okay, well, never mind, then I'm not gonna do it that way. I'll just do it this way. I don't understand why that didn't work. So we'll go over to ailerons, and then I'm gonna have rudder. And the rate is gonna be, I don't know, like 50 or, let's just do 50. And 50. So now, when I move this stick, it moves the rudder. I'm actually just gonna go rudder to aileron. Oh, it's because that, yeah, they have it backward. See, there. Now I can move either stick and it's gonna move the output. Okay, that's my rationale there. Very simple. Okay, now I'm gonna show you the telemetry. There is smart stuff going on there. I don't know exactly what we get with that. We have a receiver voltage, which is kind of handy on a 1S because it's a lot of help. Receiver. And there we have all sorts of different information there, which is kind of cool. And look at that. We have battery voltage.
Nice.
Yep, that is nice. So really, at this point, you could set an alarm and you know, for the timer, but that's really sort of somewhat unnecessary anymore. You can go to audio events and you can set up an alarm under telemetry warnings. And the smart battery, I don't think the smart battery is going to do anything because it's not actually a smart battery. Maybe they treat it as a smart battery because it's only a 1S. And you can set up, the imbalance isn't going to mean anything. So I'm going to turn that off. And I don't really care about overcharge. That's totally useless. And then the startup voltage, okay, whatever, that's fine. Where's pack voltage? Volts. There we go. Don't care about that. And the minimum voltage, let's set it to like 3.3, and we'll have the alarm with a voice, and I'm gonna give warning reports every 30 seconds. So then when it goes low, it's not gonna sit there and screw us up on the screen and stuff. So at this point, we need to make an assignment for safe. Safe is off, okay? So safe is super easy to set up. On this, there is no AS3X versus safe binding, okay? Because it goes automatically into bind. So sticks down and in, and then 1, 2, 3. Oh, it looks like it's already, oh, it's already set up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If you didn't have it set up, then it would be. So it looks like it's already set up. Okay, so right now we're not in safe, and now we're in safe. Oh, wait, are we in safe? I can't tell. It's so hard to tell. Here's another trick. If you're not sure if you're in safe, move the stick back and then change the condition, okay? That will limit your bank angles, and that's another way to tell. So I'm gonna flip the plane upside down, and when it's upside down, in safe, it's gonna try to, that is so weird. All right, I'm gonna try AS3X. Okay, so there's our power. Now the AS3X is working, and I can tell by moving control surfaces. That all seems fine, but then that must be safe. Kind of hard to tell if it's on. I guess, look at this, guys. There's a light in there. Solid red is AS3X, red and blue is safe. Okay, so in my case, the A switch back is safe, and then AS3X is toward me. I want to flip those. So I'm going to go into servo setup, travel, and scroll over to reverse. And this is a preference thing. That's the gear switch. Okay, so now I've got it set up to my conventional setup. So AS3X red, like the evil eye. If it's giving you the evil eye, you're in AS3X only. And then when you're in that, you're in safe. But it's just strange. Oh, there we go. See how the rudder is turning? It's trying to auto level the plane. So watch this. There is a point where it's going to go back and forth. See?
That's so
I
weird.
swear it wasn't doing that earlier, but it is now, so I don't care. Okay, throttle cuts back on. I don't have really a timer to clear. So one thing I want to warn you about on this plane, do not fly it on an overly windy day. You will lose it. You have to keep in mind these ultra micros are small and very light. They do not agree with wind most of the time. Okay, that's all I'm going to say about that. And guys, if you want to buy this plane, follow the links in the description below. You'll help support us more than you know. And that's how we fund our channel. So the other way, if you want to help support us, we have Patreon, and we also have PayPal for people that don't like monthly obligations. And that's kind of the way Patreon works. So we threw that in there for the 1 in a million people that want to support us that way. I still think the best deal is just buy the planes, buy the batteries, buy the transmitters, buy the servos, whatever it is that you're buying. You'll be buying to help support us. And if you don't see what you like there, we have master links like to Horizon Hobby or Tower Hobbies if you're overseas somewhere that is not immediately supported by shipping from Horizon. And then we have, of course, some other companies and people that we work with there. So this thing is super cool. I've flown them before. I know they're super fun. I haven't flown this one yet, but you guys know we are gonna fly it for you very soon. And you probably saw that at the beginning of the video. And I'm curious if I can fly it inside this room. I don't want to crash it and break it because we haven't actually flown it yet, but I just want to see if it'll go. Okay, so I think it's probably going to be a little bit too much speed to be able to make the turn in here. But I think I'm going to try to turn off the fan because we have a huge fan up there.
Yeah.
It just so happens that it's on right now. But I want to see if this will work in here. Okay, so safe is off. Let's see if this works. Yes. Yes. Under the right circumstances, you can fly it in your living room. So anytime that we have a small plane that seems like it might fly in our living room, I pretty much have to try it. So if you want to slow this plane down, I'm going to teach you a secret, okay? And this is Horizon's going to love this. Whoops. These batteries are both done. Might as well pull those out. I'm going to show you a secret. The secret that you can do that is super duper easy to make your plane slow down is we're going to induce drag. And I've done this on other planes and it almost always works well. We are going to make probably an inboard flap, not a spoiler. A spoiler will cause this to lose too much lift. Okay, plus we want that to be in the prop wash. Okay, so we're just going to use these. This won't damage your finish because it's a sticky note. If you have ultra sticky notes, they might damage your finish. Now, I don't know if this is enough to slow it down, but we're going to try it. And I just love being able to fly inside myself. Okay, so here we go. Oh yeah, yeah, we're better now. That is so cool. So there you have it. You can definitely fly inside the house until you hit the chandelier. And if you hit a chandelier, then it's probably not going to continue flying until you stick the battery back on the Velcro and take back to the skies. Now I want to show you the other mod I'm going to do that's super easy. And this is just basically because I'm too lazy to go pick it up. I'm going to take some clear tape. It's going to be super, super, super easy. And then we're also going to throw this on the scale so you can see how much it actually weighs. Scissors. I don't like having that little rippled end because it makes it super hard to pull the tape off if you ever have to get the tape off of there. So I'm just going to show you what I do. This is the way I've always done it. It always works well. I'm going to take and just make a spot to hold the battery so it doesn't pop out. Okay, but you have to be a little bit careful where you put it, because if you put it in the wrong spot, you're going to have a hard time getting that battery out. So until I've vetted it, I'm going to just fold the edge so I can take that tape off easy. Okay, so that's going to keep the battery from popping out. And the battery, you'll note that the battery hasn't broken off and I ran into a chandelier. Show them the chandelier moving just so they can see. This is not CGI. So I don't think you could probably do that in safe either. I don't think you'll have enough authority.
Probably not.
This is when the habit of throttle cut is a little bit annoying because I don't really need to probably throttle cut this thing. There we go. See? And to be perfectly frank, this plane is plenty strong to survive. The cats have already decided that they are going to work on their attack so that they can figure out when to eat this while I'm sleeping. If you have cats, this is your PSA for the day. Keep this away from your cats. Cats love ultra micro planes in all the wrong ways. Okay, here we go. Guys, this is a 3-channel plane, folks. I don't fancy myself some sort of an amazing pilot, by the way. So what you're going to do is you're going to get this plane, you're going to fly it around your living room, but make sure that you don't annoy your wife too much, because then she might not let you buy what's next. We never show you what's next. So this is the real Radian, which is the night Radian. So yes, when and if you buy this little thing and you fly it around the living room and annoy the you-know-what out of your wife, then when you crash it into her chandelier and you start crying and your eyes well up, then you can use that as an excuse to get this thing. I'm saying, I've worked this system out. You know it. That's why you come to Brian Phillips RC.
Crash it into your eyeball and make those tears real.
Yeah, you may have to, because this thing is pretty resilient. By the way, I believe this is EPP, so it's not EPO. So you want to be a little bit careful when you run into chandeliers. You don't want to do it at full speed, or you're probably going to regret it. Now, also the other thing is, you'll notice that I made my little inboard flaps there. If you take your inboard flaps and you can experiment this on where you want to put them, the other thing you can do is you can really, if you put them out here, then you will experience a different type of drag, but it does retard the yaw.
That's going to be bad for in here though, isn't it?
It could be. It could be. So we're gonna try this again. I mean, we've made a perfect environment. We don't have anything in the way. There's certainly not any crap here. In fact, maybe we should like not have all this stuff out.
Whatever.
Okay, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
That's why you come here, for Brian's planning and preparation. So as you can see, woo! Oh no! So now you know that it will work inside, and it is super, super fun. And yes, I did crash it many times, and no, it is not broken yet. So with that, we bid thee well. I hope that the outside flight goes well, because this is super fun, because if this doesn't work out for an outdoor plane, I'm gonna love this inside. I am a sucker for having planes inside, and a couple of sticky notes later, you can really slow this thing down. I'm just gonna let you know, without the sticky notes, you can fly it inside, but it is gonna go quite a bit faster, so you need to be aware of that. Cam crew, what do you think?
I think you're gonna make me get a new chandelier.
You know, whenever I saw the plans for hanging that giant ball in our living room, see these lights, they move up and down, okay?
Yeah.
And yes, that was a design feature of this house when we designed it, because I knew I'd be flying stuff in here. So if you're fortunate enough to have a wife that will let you get giant balls that are adjustable, and or lights that are adjustable to facilitate your habit, if you find an enabler like that, you found a keeper.
Maybe let her pick her light fixtures.
All right, guys, hope you enjoyed it. Come back for more. We are gonna be reviewing the Night Radian. Not sure if you're seeing this before or after, but either way. Thanks for watching. Check the link in the video description below. You really do support us if you buy from those links, so we appreciate it. Please do that. Come back for more.